boxing truth here. I saw a funny-ass report, and it had to do with the new crowned WBC Super Welterweight Champion Jermell Charlo with the letter E, as he stated to the boxing press that he's in talks with Golden Boy and Canelo Alvarez, and he's instructed WBC that he wants to fight with Alvarez, and perhaps that fight is doable considering that Canelo Alvarez has vacated his middleweight strap. Though the negotiations with Triple G are not dead, WBC has already made plans to give Canelo Alvarez a high ranking within the WBC rankings as soon as he decides and tells the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, which division he plans on campaigning, either the super welterweight class or the middleweight class. So it remains to be seen where Canelo Alvarez is going to campaign. Now, I'm one of the minority of the YTBC that has yet to say that Canelo Alvarez is ducking Triple G, simply because I'm waiting to see what happens. I'm not going to jump a gun and saying that Canelo's ducking Triple G. It's officially, in my opinion, not a duck, because they still haven't ended negotiations. Yes, I'm aware they're not negotiating right now, but that's because Canelo right now is going through a lawsuit with All-Star Boxing, and right now, according to industry whispers, All-Star Boxing has a pretty good chance of perhaps winning their case, which it could throw a really big wrench into any type of plans Canelo Alvarez has in the future. So right now, Canelo Alvarez needs to focus on the lawsuit, and then once that's wrapped up, taken care of, and it's in the favor of Golden Boy, then Canelo can focus on his career and see what's next for the future. Most likely, of course, well, logically, it will be a Triple G fight, but we still have to wait and see what happens with that case. Loeffler has maintained and has insisted that he still feels that it's still a good chance that the fight could happen next, and that right now it's the priority for Triple G out of all the options that are considered on the table for Triple G's next fight. So I'm not going to jump a gun and say Canelo's ducking until he's officially ducked and said to the boxing press, I will not fight Triple G next. Now, when it comes to the report against Jermell Charlo, my bad, I was shaking my head because I considered it bullshit. That I didn't believe it for one bit that Jermell Charlo's team is in talks with Golden Boy for a possible fight for Canelo Alvarez, considering that Golden Boy and Jermell Charlo's advisors are still in an ongoing lawsuit for antitrust claims, similar to the lawsuit that Top Rank also filed against Al Heyman that was recently settled. However, the La Hoya's lawsuit is still ongoing with Heyman, and it looks like that lawsuit is going to continue to proceed, as I don't see any settlement negotiations going down between Oscar and Al Heyman. So unless that situation is rectified, I really don't see any concrete evidence that this fight could take place soon or anytime in the future between Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez. Now, obviously, the WBC will issue a high ranking for Alvarez when he decides if he wants to campaign at super welterweight or the middleweight division. Perhaps he will get the mandatory position, the number one ranking, considering his prestige, the past relationship with the WBC, winning titles for that organization, and he's still considered a top fighter, and also he makes big money, sanctioning fees. That's what the organizations go by with their rankings. But I just wanted to talk about Jermell's ambition to fight Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, he's name-dropping him to try to build his shit up, because, in my opinion, Jermell Charlo will be light work for Canelo Alvarez. Jermell is no worthy champion, unproven, still untested, was actually getting outboxed by John Jackson, looked sloppy, got exposed. Lucky as hell that John Jackson's got a weak-ass chin, otherwise he would have lost 10 rounds to 2 if the fight kept going the way it was going. Jermell Charlo still has a lot to work on. He couldn't cut off the ring. He looked sloppy. Was getting outboxed by a guy who's not considered an elite boxer or anywhere close to it. So Jermell needs to, do what a new champion needs to do. Take on a take a voluntary defense. Oh, I don't even know if he can, considering the WBC has rules when when a champion wins a vacant strap, he has to make an immediate mandatory defense. But Jermell, he needs a lot more seasoning. He ain't ready for Canelo Alvarez. He ain't ready for that level. I'm not impressed with Jermell Charlo. He was the least impressive of that card on Saturday night. Maybe just as equally as least impressive as Arislani Lara. His brother was in there with a much better opponent, a guy who's been tested, a guy who's been in there with world-class opposition, has also beaten Miguel Cotto and Austin Trout. Was I overly impressed with Jermell Charlo? With the letter A, Jermell's brother? Not overly impressed, but I was pleased that he was able to overcome adversity, that he was able to get tested, also be in a tough situation with Austin Trout, because he was getting tagged a little too much, and I had him losing going into the 10th round. But I thought he swept the last 3 rounds. He showed me something. He showed that he's got some will in him, that he's got some dog in him, that he's willing, because the way he performed those last 3 rounds, it showed me something, because he had an extra pep in his step after his trainer, Ronnie Shields, told him that he needed the last 3 rounds in order to win the fight, and that's exactly what he did. That's what won him the fight against Austin Trout. So right now, Jermell Charlo with the letter A is the better fighter of the two. Is he a great fighter? It's too soon to tell. I don't think he definitely ain't right now. He needs more work, especially with his defense. But Jermell Charlo, I'm not impressed. I've never been impressed. Needs a lot more work. He's been gifted a belt, a vacant strap. Let's see what he got, as he probably is going to have to make a mandatory defense. I'm not sure of the... I think Charles Hatley is the mandatory challenger for Jermell Charlo with the letter E, who won the WBC strap against John Jackson. And what was funny as hell of that Showtime telecast was that Charles Hatley, one of the few Don King fighters, handful of Don King fighters in the game right now, approached the wrong brother. I guess he was confused or something, as a lot of people still confuse the Charlo brothers of who was which. But Charles Hatley stepped to Jermell Charlo, the brother with the letter A, who was the IBF champion, and he ended up stepping to him and pushing him when he was doing his interview with Jim Gray. So I don't know what the hell that was about. It's really Hatley that should have pushed Jermell Charlo, the guy that's holding the strap that he's mandated to fight whenever it's next. But just wanted to talk a little bit about the Charlo brothers a little bit. That I'm not impressed, especially with Jermell. I think Jermell is a little better. He has a better fighting style. He's a bigger puncher in my opinion, but he's definitely needs some work. Jermell, he was exposed in this fight with John Jackson. Definitely needs a lot of work. He ain't ready for Canelo Alvarez. So I get why you name dropping him, trying to build your shit up, but Canelo Alvarez will fuck you up, Jermell. Right now, you light work for him, not even a challenge. But I'm not saying I hope that fight wouldn't happen, because the boxing fans would rip Canelo more than we're ripping him right now. And they would call it a complete cherry pick if he was not to fight Golovkin next. And instead opt to fight an unproven and paper champion in Jermell Charlo. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.